Hello, everybody. Back again today. I hope you can see me. It's sort of getting dark here in the woods. I've been listening to stuff on the tractor radio today. It's pretty well tweaked my curiosity and attention of what they're talking about, these AI data centers and the power that they takes to generate them, the water usage, and the heat that it puts in the atmosphere. And I got thinking about the difference between what they're talking about, methane gas off the cattle and the heat off these data centers. How this climate change stuff is a bunch of malarkey, and how they tried to use that to control the people, like Joe Biden did with trying to do away with gas stoves and wood heaters and all kinds of stuff. Trying to do away with gas motors and diesel motors and everything go electric. How if you get to checking into it, all this money correlates into a bunch of companies, and how they depend on the politician in Washington, the funds, and the legislation to implement their fraud. It's sort of like USAID with all the fraud that they caught was a big slush fund for Democrats. How they used that money to gain power and control, and it comes back to the Democrats are using the illegals to keep them in this country. How hard they're fighting with the NGOs and foreign money to keep those illegals in here for a voting block for their power. And how far they'll go attacking ICE agents, And in the same breath, you got Mark Warner get on there and tell them, President Trump's paying them people to attack January 6th policemen. Oh, and when their party is paying protesters to attack ICE agents, and ain't that just some pretty good stuff? I mean, hypocrites, absolutely hypocrites. They think people are plumb stupid, and a lot of people. I know a lady who's Democrat. It don't matter what evidence that you show her. She is a firm Democrat. They do no wrong. You can show her evidence of what they're doing. She don't believe it. She don't want to hear it. To her mind, it's the same Democratic Party it was in 1940, when they have changed all around her, and she's an older lady, and you can't change her mind. So there's where our battle is. But we're going to, as a Christian conservative people, we're going to have to stand up like David, and we're going to have to get us a big rock and a slingshot, and we're going to have to destroy Goliath. We're going to have to really stand up. We're going to have to be 50 million people stand up in this country and put a stop to this stuff. We stood up and voted for President Trump, and we're going to have to keep standing up because he just got 2.5 years, people. And he'll be gone. And I don't know who's standing in the wing with his backbone and conviction to keep on the right path and putting the foundation down for us to stay a constitutional republic. The Democrat Party has been real good. Well, they're not Democrat anymore. They're a Democratic, Communist, Socialist, Islamic, whatever. They've been real good about placing their liberal judges in the places of high power and putting people in high positions in the government to make sure their power base stays where it's at. Yeah, you know. But hopefully, Montgomery in New York will destroy that enough to he'll show people to come back to keep this country a constitutional republic. We are in a battle. And people seem like they want to stick their head in the sand. They don't want to hear it. They just want it to go away. They think it'll go away, but it's not. These Democrats take control. They're taxing people out of existence. You know, they're gonna drive these businesses out of their states, and they're gonna put the tax burden on the middle class so high that they can no longer afford their homes, your farms. And they're going to take your property, and they brought these illegals in here, and they're going to have somewhere to put them. Their voter base, as the Muslims come in, and their ruse is, and I'm going to tell you something about these Muslims. You know, we have freedom of religion in this country, and you're free to worship and believe who you want. But this is a Christian nation. We was founded under God. And as the Democratic Party tried to push Christians out and replace us with Muslims, do you ever hear in these schools when they let these children pray on the rug, or they got their Quran, and they make difference between the Bible and that? If you're a Christian, you bring your Bible, it's church or state, separation of church or state. But if they bring the Quran, you don't hear nothing about it. They're allowed. They're allowed to, if they're elected in office, to swear on the Quran, when in that Quran it plainly says that they're allowed to lie, cheat, steal, and murder to get their power. To turn the country Islamic, they're allowed to cheat, steal, lie, and murder. It teaches them that they're allowed to kill Christians, Jews, and infidels. It plainly says it. And a lot of these Muslims, when they take an oath to serve our country, they take their oath not on the Bible but on the Quran, which means they're lying. They can lie. We're going to have to change the laws in this country that only natural born citizens can hold office, even right down to the dog catcher. So people, I'm going to get off of here. I wanted to give you something to think about. Stand up. Don't be afraid. Let's be David. And let's pick that rock up in that slingshot, and let's take these people down. Let's put our country back, America first, and go by our Constitution, because we are a constitutional republic, and never forget that. Stand up and be accountable for your children and grandchildren. Good Lord willing, I'll see you next time. Just something to give you to think about. God bless each and every one of you. Thanks for watching.